There's a man in the countdown who had a choice a few years ago of letting a hit single of his be used in either of two upcoming movies. The one he chose earned him maybe $15,000. The one he turned down would have made him more than $1 million. That story and his latest hit are coming up.
Casey's Coast to Coast. American Top 40.
There was a big hit single of 2 years ago that Robert Stigwood tried to get permission to use in Saturday Night Fever. But the label that owned it said no, and that decision cost them and the artist $3 million. Back in the spring of '77, the Robert Stigwood organization was rounding up various hit records to include in the soundtrack of their upcoming movie, Saturday Night Fever. And one of their first choices was the 1976 hit, Lowdown by Boz Scaggs. So RSO made their request to Boz's manager, and he referred them to Columbia Records, who controlled the rights. Well, Columbia said they had plans to use Lowdown in the soundtrack of their own picture, Looking for Mr. Goodbar. So they turned down the Stigwood request to include it in Saturday Night Fever. Now you gotta understand that show business executives have to make decisions like that every day, and nobody has a crystal ball. I mean, who could have known that the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack would become the biggest selling album of all time? Well, Boz Scaggs and his manager and Columbia Records didn't know. And it cost them $3 million. That would have been their share of the royalties. As it was, the song earned them $5,000 in royalties from the Looking for Mr. Goodbar album. So, you win a few, and you lose a few. Now, let's hear that almost $3 million song as an American Top 40 Extra. Number 3, exactly 2 years ago. Boz Scaggs and Lowdown. Lowdown, an American Top 40 Extra by Boz Scaggs from 1976.
Casey's Coast to Coast. American Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem. Well, now we're up to the latest hit by a man who made a choice a few years ago, a choice that lost him more than $1 million. In recent years, one lucrative source of income for rock musicians has been motion picture soundtracks. If the movie's a hit and the soundtrack LP becomes a big seller, it's like striking oil in your backyard. Well, back in 1977, singer-composer Boz Scaggs was approached about including a hit of his called Lowdown in either of a pair of movies. He had to choose one or the other. Well, Boz thought about it, and his manager Irving Azoff thought about it too, and they decided the royalty rate was just too low in one of the offers. They opted to put Lowdown in a film called Looking for Mr. Goodbar. And that film's soundtrack did pretty well. It sold about 100,000 copies and paid Scaggs a royalty of maybe $10,000 or $15,000. But the soundtrack Boz bowed out of, well, it sold 25 million copies. That album, of course, is Saturday Night Fever. And having a song on that one would have earned Boz Scaggs over $1 million. And how does Boz feel about his choice? He says, I'm obviously disappointed. It would have been an incredible amount of money. But there was no big misjudgment. I was glad to have Lowdown and Goodbar. This week, Boz Scaggs is up 7 notches to number 19 with Breakdown Dead Ahead.
I call you.
Survey song number 19, moving up 7 notches. Boz Scaggs on American Top 40 with Breakdown Dead Ahead. And the countdown continues.
The hits from coast to coast.